the progression in everything has happened. I think that has a lot to do with the internet. And like I grew up doing BMX and skateboarding, and you would see the magazine that came out every month, and you'd be like, oh, somebody learned a new trick. You would work on it. You wouldn't know how exactly they did it. There might be a series of snapshots showing how they did it. But now, I talk to a lot of extreme athletes on here and adventure sports or action sports, and they go, oh yeah, you post it the day you do it, and then 6 kids are doing it the next day, because
Right,
they've broken it
right.
down and watched on the video. So the progression is moving at a level that's so freakish. It happens in stand-up comedy even. And there is such progression. And that's one of the good things I think about the
Yeah.
internet. That's
Yeah.
where I go,
For
there's
sure.
so much information and so much education, and we do progress to a level. I mean, it's scary because knowing what I know and how hard it was for me to do the things I did, I'm like, wait a minute, I could never. I told Johnny Mosley that. I go, I took off 10 years from skiing. I came back, and you're doing dinner rolls and, triple flips. And I'm going, what? Where was I? What happened while I was gone?
And
That
now
you
he
guys
looks, those videos of him in the Olympics look like grandparents, like stuff that
yeah, yeah,
recreational skiers. And that's Johnny Mosley,
yeah.
groundbreaking, extraordinary person who invented it. Right. So what I want to match then is that we have this on ramp radically where we're getting, but we may not have the volume, the reps, the discipline, the tissues to support it. In the first time they had big air vert stuff skiing, the big mountain stuff in skiing, they were worried that they didn't have enough women. Like the top 6 out of 10 women had suffered ACL injuries going this big. And so the top 6 women in the first Olympics weren't there at the Olympics because so there were so many lower extremity injuries from going so big. What we saw was that it takes a while and the training to make sure that we can handle those kinds of loading. But, look, if we're seeing forward progress, and what I'll tell you is that this next generation of athletes who cares about their performance, they're paying attention big time. So once again, that whole idea of performance, because it's all about making money for them and getting sponsors. And they're like, what's that thing about sleep? What's that thing about recovery? What's that thing about nutrition? They're playing the games at a phenomenal
I'm
level.
glad to hear that, because my fear was that these are the tip of the spear. We're seeing the tip of the spear, but we don't see, and we see them when they're on the internet. And I have seen this with a lot of these guys that have been on the show. Even Johnny Mosley told me about when he broke his neck, or Trevor Jacobs, who was on here, told me how he broke his back. We're seeing them when they're doing it. We don't see the ramifications of the injuries and what it took to get there, or what happens after they got there. And my worry is that the progression is far ahead of the capability of the human body.
It is.
That we're pushing to this limit that is like, I want the stardom, I want the celebrity, but it's only going to be a fleeting moment, because you're going to die afterwards, or you're going to.
I remember Jeremy Jones is being interviewed, big snowboarder, and he's like, they were just talking about how he just bombed down this thing, and he's like, well, we started hiking up it because it would add a degree of difficulty. And he's like, but where are we going with that? And in the background, Travis Rice throws a backflip off of like a gigantic cliff. And he's like, well, there you go. I guess it's 2 backflips now, and then it's 3 backflips, and then you're blindfolded and on fire doing backflips. So you're right. I think we are. I don't know if we've approached it, but it is fun to see what's possible. What we want to do is look at people like Serena Williams, who just retired, and say, what's the core DNA there? How do we take a Lindsey Vonn and remove some of that injury? How did she ski so well? So that ultimately the thing that we're comparing is who is the best athlete, not who had the most resources or the best collagen or the best protein, right? We want to strip, ultimately the game is to strip all of the other features away and let the best athlete, put that best athlete into a situation where she has to be extraordinary, and see what happens.
Well, to bring this full circle, it's like you said about an athlete being a parent also, or long lasting, even in CrossFit. How do we do that in CrossFit, where we take them from it? Yeah, it's great that while you were 22, you made it to the CrossFit Games, but where are you at 32 and 42 and 52? And I have said that the biggest mistake CrossFit ever made was not valuing the masters athletes more and putting them this side stage where they're like, oh, by the way, we have these old guys that can do it or old women that can do it. I think they should be the pinnacle. They should be, look at Dave Hippensteel. Look at this guy who's in his 60s, who's doing muscle ups, like 30 muscle ups in a row. This is who we should not all aspire. I mean, as great as Matt Fraser and Rich Froning and Tia Claire Toomey are, and they are unbelievable, we should be aspiring to be Dave Hippenstall. Like, there's the guy that should be, that's incredible to be able to move like that and still maintain muscle mass at his age. And that to me is what should be the ultimate goal, because some of these other guys are going to wash out.
The person who has the most fun the longest, that is winning. That is truly winning. Be able to go on adventures your whole life, and whatever that looks like for you really means you have to do some training. The human being requires a little technique. It requires a little skill intervention. You can do it the other way. You can be an untechnical, you can eat like a maniac. We know with that, we've run that experiment a lot. But if you just do some other things differently, you have no idea still what you're capable of. And it's not just about being shredded on the internet for 2 seconds. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, for us, it's all about adventure. Do we have the body? My wife and I and our 17-year-old just ran this 6-day section of the Green River. And we ran it at relatively low water. It's about 90 miles. And we had to do a lot of rowing to make it in 6 days. So there would be days where we would row for 6 hours. And,
wow.
Against the flat water headwinds. So my daughter would row, my wife would row, I would row. So if you've ever been on a rowing machine where the slide doesn't slide and the damper's stuck at 20, that's what it feels like. And are you now durable enough to unload that, get up and down off the ground, hang out, put yourself in these situations where you can really feel like you can trust your body and you can go hard on your body, and you put enough emphasis, input, practice in that you can come out of that unharmed. That is ultimately the goal.
I kind of want to end it there because I feel like we just got a good clip for the promo that's going on the YouTube short.
All 11 seconds. Skadoosh. Let me do that again, this time faster. I'll point and dance.
No, don't worry. We'll put all the captions and timers and the stuff. I've already, all day long, I talk with my wife about how much I hate this stuff, and she's like, "Then go be a monk. Do what you do best and write jokes."
No, you can't do it. Sorry, I'm calling your wife is 100% wrong. I need the smartest, fastest, gnarliest people working on the hardest jobs, and calling it out. I'm sorry, you don't get to quit. But I want you to keep this in mind. Someday you will earn your retirement. And that retirement is you go back to your farm. You've left the battlefield. You're in Rome. You're working the fields with the Elysium soundtrack. And at that moment, you turn off social media. But you haven't earned it yet, bro.
Fuck. All right.
I need
you. Speaking of earning it, everyone here needs the Ready State. How do they get it?
Yeah, we are trying to help you sort through position, pain, restoring, giving your body back. We want everyone to do, like, if you did one thing, go to the Ready State. I have so many 10, 20 minute and 30 minute follow along videos. If you have a ball and a roller in your garage, in your house, in your living room, you can start this journey. I'll teach you how to take care of your body. And that's your core practice. Give me 10 minutes a day. Then you can be like, oh, what about my quads? Or what about my knee? Or what about this elbow that hurts? We do all of that too. But go to the Ready State. We have an incredible app. A new version of it's coming, but the app is insanely good. And there's so much information. You want to see how I think? I just did a series on hamstring tendinopathies on the internet. You can see how I take a systems approach, how we think differently about problems. Go to the Ready State, download the app. I guarantee you there's like a week or 2 week trial in there. Play along, and I guarantee you can feel better.
I was telling on the show about the app, how you have this thing where you can go, okay, because self-diagnosing is really hard, but you have a thing where you can like look at the body and point and go, okay, the pain is here. And it focuses in. It's like, is the pain here? Is the pain here? Oh, it's right here. Okay. Well, then it's probably this. And this
it's
is
a good place to start, right?
Yeah.
Your brain is the most complicated structure in the known universe, attached to incredibly complex physiology and incredibly nuanced environments. I think you have a shot at making yourself feel better before you need to go get help. Let's take that slack out of the system. You know,
So it's ready state,
that's where we're going.
thereadystate.com
TheReadyState.com.
or ready state. Is it the or ready state? TheReadyState.com.
TheReadyState.com.
So
That's
look,
us.
you guys have all been stealing Kelly's amazing information for years that he's been so generous to volunteer. Go. Well, get the app for free for a while and see, and I guarantee you'll end up buying it. Thanks for doing the show. I always appreciate it. I consider you a great friend. You've been a great resource. I love you, brother. I love what you've done for people and for the sport and everything. So thank you. And you guys, thanks for listening. Thank you for always being here, listening every week. Go rate, review, comment. But what we really want you to do is watch it on YouTube. We're trying to be found on YouTube.
Yes.
We've always been a podcast. We want to be video.
Yes.
Find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Wodcast Podcast.